The Wine Steward was a horse, a 2-year-old, who has gained a lot of acclaim, and deservedly so, early on in our tracking of horses for the Derby. And he's one I think we still want to keep in mind. Didn't run in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but I think he's got all the credentials right now to hopefully be a serious Derby candidate. He's by Vino Rosso, and those of us who remember Vino Rosso remember he was a horse who was pretty good at 3, but certainly as he got older, he got better. So much like Gun Runners, I think the best is yet to come with the Wine Steward, and he should be improving as he gets older. Call to Service to Honor and Serve was on the Derby Trail a few years back, and is stamina bred. So I think we've got 2 turns okay. The average winning distance, by the way, for Vino Rosso, 6.5. That's mainly because he's a freshman sire, and that will certainly go up because he is a 2-turn sire for sure. So for those of you who are a little concerned about that, I wouldn't be. Nice to see Mike Maker have a horse on the Derby Trail. He doesn't too often. We do know that he's a very good trainer at 2 turns, particularly on turf, stretching horses out. So I think he should have no problem conditioning this horse if he's good enough to get ready for the Derby. We'll look at the pedigree, and again, you'll see, the dosage profile is a little light, not a lot on the stamina side, but again, not completely accurate. You see the Smart Strike Curl in Vino Rosso, that's no problem there, and then you got to Honor and Serve Bernardini all the way back to AP Indy. So stamina shouldn't be a problem, particularly with Call to Service. If you look at the Conduit Mare profile, you'll see it's more attuned to stamina than speed. So I don't think 2 turns is going to be a problem for the Wine Steward whatsoever. He's already done it in the British Futurity, so I think the longer distance shouldn't be an issue. So we look at the running lines, and one of the things that's really nice to see about the Wine Steward is, for me, the thing I've always liked about this horse is the grit. This horse has had to fight for a lot of starts. Came up on the short end in the British Futurity, but still showed some pluck, was willing to fight, and you always have to like to see that in a horse. Now, conversely, there's a couple of things that are a little on the troubling side. Much like with Locked, if you look at the class rating, you'll see 119, 119, 120, 119. Kind of in a holding pattern there. And you see the race ratings going up. But if you note, that would be fine. But then take a look at the finish. 6 lengths first at 114. 2 3/4 at 115. Ahead at 117. And then the step up in class, while the race rating doesn't necessarily reflect it, running against Locked would certainly make this a bigger class test. And then Law was second by a half a length. So what does that say? It says potentially this horse isn't progressing, and that he may be very precocious early and is not building necessarily. Just noting that the class rating is staying fairly constant. Now, a lot of things can happen over the winter, as we've said, but it's just something to keep a note of going into the Derby Trail. And so maybe, you got Locked and the Wine Steward, both in kind of the same situation. Their class rating is pretty much plateauing. So with one good Derby prep race, that'll forestall any concerns we might have. But right now, got a little reservation based upon that. But I do like this horse. I love the fight. So now let's take a look at the British Futurity, and that's the last race that Locked ran in, and had a nice effort against the Wine Steward. Had a nice effort against Locked.
Breeders' Futurity. There goes Northern Flame from the outside. Baytown Chatterbox with
you see the Wine Steward down on the rail.
That pair, West Saratoga moves up for the lead. Baytown
Saving ground, a little bit of traffic.
Second. Northern Flame is third up on the outside.
But nothing
will be wide into the
too
first
big of a
turn. Just
concern.
moves up a lane off the rail into fourth. just outside of the Wine Steward in 5th. Locked is 3 wide around the turn, near the back here early on in 6th.
So, of course, that's something we also have to think about is that the Wine Steward saved all the ground and was only able to manage second.
Just Steele moves up.
Just as a side note, Justin Steele just won the Ed Brown. He looked pretty damn good doing it. So can't wait to take a look at Just Steele. Big horse by Justified.
To his inside. Locked travels toward the outside, still 5 lengths off the lead, back in the 6th position.
See the Wine Steward, no excuses, perfect position.
Comes Austin Road, that first half-mile win.
And then it's just a question of whether he can break free
Seconds generous tipper
at this point.
On the far turn. Baytown Chatterbox moves up the inside and challenges Just Steele. These two matching strides. As they move onto the turn, West Saratoga moves into contention, and the Wine Steward is carefully trying to pick his way through traffic. A lane off the rail, now 2 lanes off the rail. Here comes Locke.
You see, makes his move there, and all systems go at this point. Now it's just a question of whether he's good enough.
And Northern Flame in between that pair, top of the short stretch. Here is Locked.
Changes leads on a dime. And here's what I like the most is the fact that he just didn't quit. He just kept fighting.
Steward responding to the challenge so far. Here's Locked right alongside.
Just a little unlucky. Just didn't quite have it at the very last second. But overall, I'd say that was an excellent race. So if we take a look at the report card for the Wine Steward at this point, pedigree given a B, would be a little higher if Vino Rosso wasn't a freshman sire. But I think this horse has 2-turn pedigree, and I'm not worried about it. Class-wise, we're going to go with an A-, and mainly it's because I see that pattern of plateauing a little bit, and that does get me a little nervous. And the fact that we didn't have that final exclamation point on the season with the Breeders' Cup Juvenile to see how the Wine Steward would rate with the very best. So, but he's certainly a fine horse. Really hasn't done much wrong so far. Progression, he also gets an A-, and again, it's because of that potential plateau I see that makes me a little curious as to whether or not this one will move forward and might just be a flash-in-the-pan 2-year-old. I think it's way too early to say that, but it's something to keep in mind. So prospect-wise, Wine Steward gets a B+. This has been a very good 2-year-old season for the Wine Steward. He's met every challenge and responded. Came up a little short in the Breeders' Futurity, and you do have to wonder, since Locked was a little short in the Juvenile, you do wonder about that a little bit, although the Juvenile, the excuse is the track wasn't closer favoring, so it's Santa Anita. But nonetheless, the Wine Steward, I think, is one we definitely want to keep an eye on for sure, but we do have some question marks going into the Derby Trail at 3 years old.